Welcome to the bonus interview for the East Side Queer Stories podcast. My name is Abe Zapata Jr., and I was the workshop facilitator for the 2019 East Side Queer Stories workshop. I'm excited to be with one of our glorious playwrights from the cohort, and I will let them introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Jess Cen. My pronouns are they, them, he, him, and I wrote the play Sun Snapped.
What kind of writing had you done before attending the ESQS workshop?
Oof. Okay, so I've always been a writer, like ever since I was little. Like elementary school, I would always be writing down just short little stories, and then it just throughout my life, I've always just been writing.
When you were little, what kind of writing were you doing?
A lot of it was romance because I did grow up watching like telenovelas and stuff like that. So it would always be that kind of stuff. But then I'll also like I don't know, just I don't know, random stuff.
And was it like little plays or like scripts or poems?
It started out just like stories. I didn't really get into plays until maybe like high school. And it wasn't really plays, it was more like scripts. So it was like I guess screenwriting. I had this video camera that my mom had, and sometimes like after school or on the weekends, my cousins would come over and I would like force them to make movies with me. So there was that.
Yeah, I did the exact same thing with my cousins. We would, and they were mostly like bad sequels to films that we watched.
Uh,
Like, was your stuff original work?
yeah, it was like original like teen drama thing, but it was like very melodramatic and
Sweet, yeah. So you were like acting out your teenage angst through these writings.
yeah, pretty much.
Nice. So Sun Snapped is a very emotionally charged piece. When you started the workshop, did you know this is what you wanted to write about?
I did not. When I started the workshop, I thought like I was gonna do, I don't know, something more romantic because it was a queer workshop. I just thought like, oh, I'm gonna write a play about two guys, and because you gave us a prompt, I think that it was like three different ideas that we had to come up with, and Sunsnapped was one of them. It was like write something that you're scared to write. And so that's what I came up with. And like at first I didn't even want to go with that idea because it's something that I was scared to write. But yeah.
So the idea of the snapping and kind of like bringing the parents to the different times, did that come from something specific, or where was the spark for that inspiration?
I think so the idea was that I something that I was scared to write about was just my relationship with my parents. And I think the original idea was that I was going to be like a judge, and it was going to be like a whole courtroom scene. And eventually I think it just turned into like him just having Oscar just having like these powers or whatever. But I don't I I don't that's all I remember.
Lately, there's nothing else to do but sit on my bed and think about the past, the good times and the bad, and about where it all went wrong. It all boils down to them. So I call them with a snap.
So the character of Oscar is dealing with the trauma that was inflicted on him by his parents. In many ways, the play is telling us all the things that Oscar repressed. Was it cathartic writing the play?
Yeah, in a way it did feel that way because I guess I don't know. I don't know if it was a release or what it felt like something I had to write. But I don't know if it like helped me in any way. I don't know. Having written it and then reading it back, like I feel like I could still work on it more. As far as like how like the release of what I've been feeling, I think I don't know how to answer this.
Did kind of working through these emotions end up bringing up even more things than you anticipated?
I don't think that it did. It was more like the reactions that I've seen specifically from my aunt, because when we finished the workshop we did like a little a reading of each play, and my aunt was there at the reading, and just seeing her reaction was very like, oh my god, I can't believe that this is something that I wrote and that's how she's reacting to it.
In many ways, then, putting these emotions and these characters that were stemming from real life, it was more of allowing other people to know like your true feelings of the situations, and that, and having to then deal with like real life people that are your relatives react to that. Is that kind of more so what like came up through this work?
I think so, yeah. When I think about things, I tend to think about them a lot. So it's like I deal with things on my own. It's very much like Oscar. Like, to me, like all of this stuff is happening in his head. And that's kind of how I feel like I deal with things sometimes, where I just think about them a lot until I feel like, okay, I've processed this. I think I understand how to deal with this. And then sharing it with the world is something, it's different. It's not something that I usually do, and it's that's what I guess affects me the most.
You mentioned a little bit ago about possibly like working on the piece more or maybe changing things. Are you thinking about would you think about keeping it the same length, or would you want to make it longer?
Well, when I was saying that I wanted to keep working on it, it's more about um how I feel the parents might react, because specifically with Gabriel, I had his character a certain way. Thinking more about my own relationship with my dad, I there's stuff that I might want to change with this character. Before the rehearsals and the recording for the play, I had written a different version of the play, and I had sent it to Sophie, the director, and I asked her like, "Do you think that this one is better or the original?" And she told me that she liked the original better, and so I went with that one. But the changes that I made, it was just I took out the whole monologue, and then I just changed that up to so that Oscar's whole reason for wanting to talk to his parents was completely different. I don't even remember what it was now.
One thing that I would maybe be wary of is not changing things because of reactions from other people. I think that's one thing to, and maybe you're not saying that, but I would be wary of doing anything like that.
Yeah, no, it's mostly just my own reaction to what I wrote, cuz and then other times it's like things click in my head that make sense in a different way. I feel like, oh, if I change this, it'll make more sense for this character or for that character. And so it's just stuff like that. It's not anything the way that anybody's like reacted to anything. The only reason that I say that like I went with Sophie was because I really felt that Sophie understood the piece, and she I watched one of the rehearsals that they did, and I really loved the way that she was directing and the way that she understood the piece. And so I was like, okay, yes, I completely trust her with the story. That's the only reason that I say that, like, wrote two different versions and then asked her to choose basically.
I'm excited for you to listen to the play. All the actors did an amazing job, and Sophie is very delicate and very smart with the way that they direct. And so I was happy to bring them in because this is their first time working with QU Foundation. So that was exciting. And I'm happy it worked out.
Yes, me too.
Sex is a very taboo topic when it comes to parents and their children, especially when those parents are deeply religious. When Oscar reveals he wasn't prepared to lose his virginity and wanted to talk to his parents the next day, if Oscar did have someone to talk to, what words of comfort do you think he needed to hear?
basically what they tell him in the end, that it wasn't his fault and that they're for him, that he basically he needs somebody to just talk to and to like care about him.
And he wanted that from both of his parents.
Yeah.
So in the play, Myrna is very deeply religious, and there's a lot of friction between her and Oscar, him dyeing his hair, and also Oscar in some ways accusing her of kind of being brainwashed by Christianity. Were you nervous about broaching the subject and talking about Christianity, or did you feel like you just didn't care?
I'm just gonna say, like, a lot of this stuff is very like autobiographical, I guess. So like the relationship between Oscar and Mirna is a lot like my relationship with my mom. And I think growing up, I was always questioning the religion. I was always questioning Christianity and like why this, and like I always thought that it was very, not brainwashy, but like if you grow up believing in something and you don't allow yourself to um like learn about different religions and cultures, then it's very much like this is the only thing you know. And it kind of feels like that's very brainwashy. I wasn't writing to be like politically correct or anything, so I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna say what I think. And I don't really care if other people are like, if religious people are offended by it, because it's what I think. It's just the things that I think. I don't know, like I was like speaking in public, or if I was like talking to my mom directly, maybe I would have like not been as forward with that in the way that I said that. But I think just because I was writing, and that's how it went.
Nice, yeah, and it's interesting because by the end of the play, there's no clear resolution. The I was about to say Jess and his parents. Oscar and his parents haven't really resolved things, but I think Oscar is more understanding of his parents and where they came from, which I enjoy, which I think theater should do. It should kind of make people think. Did you feel like you ended where you wanted to, or was there something else that you wish you could kind of, if he could snap one more time, was there anything else that you would want to bring up?
I think if I thought more about it, or if I did want to extend it, there could be many scenes where he does more snaps. But I don't. I think with the storyline that I wrote, and that those specific things, I'm good with that.
The play feels very like heavy in some ways, and then by the time that we get to the end, there does feel like something that's like lifted within the character, and that's nice. And I think that even though it's not like a happy ending in any way, like he doesn't like hug his parents and then all of a sudden they're best friends or something, but it's more of just a place of understanding and coming to terms with the past.
Yeah, I really like that you said that, because I feel like if I did get one critique, or like one thing that other people have said, was that the parents aren't likable characters. And I tried thinking about that and like how I could make them more redeemable. But at the end of the day, the play is about Oscar and the way that he understands them, not the way that I'm not trying to redeem the parents. It's just him trying to understand them.
To your point, if this is in Oscar's head essentially, then that's going to be the image of the parents. It's not going to be like all of a sudden we go 50 years ago and we find out exactly the moment that Gabriel became an alcoholic. You know what I mean? Like that's not what the
Yeah.
play is. You don't owe those characters likability. And I also don't think you made them like these like god awful people that should burn in hell. It's just, It's also like from like a young queer person, or being from when I was a young queer person, you just don't talk about stuff, and you just kind of just take it all in. And there's that really heartbreaking moment where the mom is like, well, the dyeing the hair would look gay on you, and it has nothing to do with Oscar except for what other people are gonna think.
Not everything can be done with the snap of a finger.
Like how not everyone can be corrected by the back of a hand.
Or words from a scripture.
I guess I'll just have to get up the courage and start somewhere.
What would you want the listeners to take away from the play?
Okay, so I was thinking about this, and I guess in the text, it's very much like, reach out to the people that you care about and talk to them and love them and appreciate them. But I think there's also like in the subtext, because this is all in like Oscar's head, it's kind of like him doing his own like therapy. I guess I want people to be like to think maybe if you have feelings, go see a therapist maybe. That's what I want people to take away from it.
What did you gain or learn from being a part of the ESQS workshop?
I gained, I guess, like a community. Like I know that there's people out there I can talk to. People I like that being in a room with a bunch of queer people and being in a safe space and being able to give feedback is something that I learned kind of
That you're working on.
Yeah, that I'm working on. There you go. That. But yeah.
Are you working on any other projects at the moment?
Nothing big. On Instagram, I've been putting up poems. So there's that. I recently wrote a villanelle, which is like I think it's like 5 or 6 stanzas, and then like it has different lines that are repeating. So it's kind of like a hard poem to write, structurally. But I think I've written one that I think I'm satisfied with the way it came out, and so I might release that soon. But that's the biggest thing I have currently.
So if people wanted to read your work, where could they follow you?
On Instagram and on TikTok, at the burrito. That's THE, like the word the, BOO, like boo, I'm a ghost, and RITO. So the burrito. It's a pun.
So TikTok and Instagram.
And Instagram, yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Growing up, my siblings would call me Burrito. So when I saw your Instagram handle, I was like, hey, except you're like a ghost burrito, I guess.
Yeah.
You're filled with ghosts. I was gonna say filled with scares. I have no idea. Never mind.
I'm spooky.
You're spooky. Okay, spooky burrito. I love it. Is it cool? Yeah. So definitely follow Jess. Jess always posting new work. You talk a lot about body image, and what's kind of interesting following you from meeting you from the workshop to now is just you are in like a constant state of reevaluating things, of thinking things out, of trying to understand. And so I think your artistry is all over the place in a good way, if that makes sense. Because you also sing, right?
Yeah, I do. I also write songs and I sing, kind of. But I dabble in a little bit of everything.
Yeah. So Jess is a multi-hyphenate artist that you should definitely be following. Do you have any final words for all of the listeners out there?
I'm just gonna piggyback off Audrey and say drink water.
So for everybody listening, queer and allies, you better be drinking some water.
Please.
So thank you for joining us for Eastside Queer Stories, and make sure to follow Jess Cen at The Burrito. So TheBoorito. So Burrito. And make sure to subscribe and share on all social media platforms. Make some TikTok videos, I guess. I don't know. I'm too old for that. So
no one's too old for that. I know some old ladies on there.
You know what it is? I'm too lazy. There we go.
There we go.
So make sure to follow Jess and Key Youth Foundation. Make sure to follow, donate if you can, and we'll see you next week.
Hi, I'm Ana Bernal, Executive Director and founder of Key Youth Foundation. I wanted to give a special thanks to our listeners worldwide, and if you have enjoyed our ESQS series, please consider making a donation to Q Youth. We are a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to building creative and brave spaces for the LGBTQIA+ community. Check out our website at www.qyouthfoundation.org to learn more about us and donate to support our programming. Thank you.